What's going on, everybody? I'm Matt Harmon. Welcome to the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast, and it is a hell of a day to talk ball. I am talking to you guys as I'm recording this at 11:06 a.m. Eastern. It is by far way past my bedtime, but who gives a damn about any of that? Because we have two Monday Night Football games to talk about here off the top before we get into a packed show with Justin Boone. I mean, we've got a bunch of quarterback injury news. We've got the People's Panic Meter. We've got the waiver wire, tons of stuff to get into. But again, first, we have to talk about two pretty interesting football games. The first one especially, Bucs 20, Texans 19, I thought was a really good back and forth game. I'm sure that people are not happy about particular parts of their fantasy football lineups in this game, but this was two defenses that were really putting it on, some quarterbacks with multiple years of experience and what should be being the key word, decent offenses. Let's start with the winning team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Again, you're hoping for more from some of your Buccaneers passing game players, but buddy, that's what's going to happen when you're going against this Houston Texans defense. The Texans were all over it in this game, especially from a pressure perspective. Baker Mayfield was pressured on 40.5% of his dropbacks in week one, and it got even crazier in this particular one. His time to throw, according to Next Gen Stats, after Luke Goedeke, the starting right tackle, left in this game late in the first quarter, he averaged 3.3 seconds to throw with Goedeke on the field, 2.23 seconds after Goedeke left. So they were really focused on getting the ball out fast, which pretty much took, other than one deep shot, took Mike Evans out of the game, who was already being covered on 74.4% of his routes by Derek Stingley, who's one of the true needle moving cornerbacks in the NFL. Like when you're going against Derek Stingley, you're going to have a bad time, even if you're a superstar player with a long pedigree like Mike Evans. Emeka Egbuka is still the number 2 receiver here. He runs all the routes. He's out there. He did have a near miss. He got the one touchdown, a little short pass there. Only 7 targets, but you'll take that long catch of 15 yards because he gets that touchdown. So that's the good thing about being a good player attached to a good offense, is you can fall your way into a touchdown there. But there was definitely one play where Baker Mayfield put it right on him. It's right on his fingertips. He doesn't bring it in. So still many better days are ahead for this passing game. But like I said, it's always going to be tough. But we got to shout out Baker on this one, man. I mean, it wasn't a perfect Baker game. There was a time where he had a dropped interception or whatever. But this guy went into true psycho scramble mode late in this game, and he is just such a joy to watch there. He finishes with 33 yards on the ground, 2 passing touchdowns, and like I said, late in the fourth quarter, he is just taken off against a very good Texans defense, getting punished in this game too, and just keeps fighting. Man, if you don't love watching Baker Mayfield play football, do you even love this sport? He is such an electric player, and I said this during the game. I don't know who got in his ear at some point and said, "Hey, buddy, little feedback for you. Instead of bailing out of the back of the pocket and drifting to your right when you get pressure, what if you just rip right up the gut? You just go right up the middle of the offensive line." And ever since then, he has become one of the more efficient scramblers in the NFL. Period. On a per scramble basis, he has become one of the more efficient scramblers. He just moves the football down the field for the offense when he does this stuff, and it gives him a nice little floor as a fantasy quarterback as well. 11 yards per rush attempt from Baker in this game, again, against a very, very good defense. So love watching Baker play. Really hope this offensive line can get healthy, though. Admirable effort for Graham Barton, who was one of the best centers in the league, full stop, last year as a rookie. Admirable effort for him to go out to left tackle, but it's just a diminishing returns thing. And now Goedeke's out at right tackle. Tristan Wirfs is not we'll see. Maybe he's back next week. Maybe it's still a couple more weeks. I know the initial kind of projection was October, but he's got to get out. He's got to get out there. We got to get Graham Barton back to center for this offensive line to be at full capacity. But the run game was still very good here. Was impressed with what they did in the ground game. Bucky Irving had a couple superhero moments. Rashad White, I'm sorry, Bucky Irving bros, but like Rachaad White deserves to be on the field. The guy is good in the 2-minute drill. He's good in certain passing down situations, and he's still a good rusher too. 10 carries for 65 yards in this game, and he gets the touchdown as well. But still, you're not complaining with the Bucky Irving line of 71 yards on the ground and 6 for 50 through the air. I thought, again, he had several very, very impressive moments. So good backfield duo in Tampa Bay. Not a lot of good going on in the backfield for the Houston Texans. Let's flip it over to them here. Oh, man, that Texans offense was a frustrating watch. CJ Stroud takes 3 sacks in this game, and that feels light. That feels light for this one. Man, and it really does, honestly, before we talk about the pass protection and some of the issues there, I think we do have to talk about just, God, the lack of a run game in Houston. Nick Chubb rips off a 25-yard touchdown run in this game, and he still finishes with 3.6 yards per carry. Okay, he was sitting on like 10 carries for 17 yards for a long, long time in this game. The Texans last year were 31st in rushing success rate. They have not been a good rushing team with CJ Stroud under center at any point. And it just, like, if you have a undermanned offensive line and you have a quarterback who is doing the field general stuff, you know, taking more ownership at the line of scrimmage, we've talked about this, taking more ownership at the line of scrimmage in terms of IDing blitzes, assigning protections, things of that nature that he's doing in this offense that he didn't do in the previous offense, and you're always behind the sticks. Even like a couple times they get the ball back from the Bucs, you know, in short fields, or they have the long Jalen Noel return, and then the offense just goes nowhere because it's like an incomplete pass on first down, a run for nothing on second down, and then you're in 3rd and 10. I don't have the stats off the top of my off my hand here, but I'm confident that this is yet another game where Houston is just consistently behind the sticks in long 3rd and down situations. And guess what? Like, you're never going to be in a favorable situation from a pass protection standpoint. And you already know you have pass protection problems. I mean, D'Amico Ryan's just throwing Todd Bowles just throwing blitzes and stunts at the Houston Texans offense in this game over and over again. It's like, man, we don't even have to do that. Like, you could probably get pressure with 4. You don't even have that many good players up front. You have Kalijah Kancey gets injured in this game. You don't even need to be doing all this stuff. And they were still throwing blitzes and stunts at the Houston Texans offensive line. And if the tackles were an issue in week 1 against the Rams, this was a time for the interior of the offensive line to really take the brunt of everything because they were a mess in this unit from a protection standpoint. Stroud just consistently has guys right in his face as the play begins, and you're just not going to get anything going from a downfield perspective. Nico Collins has the long touchdown to open up this game. He finishes with 52 yards on 9 targets. Again, this is like he's an elite receiver. This is what elite receivers do. They escape a bad game from their offense with a touchdown and, you know, like 14 half PPR fantasy points, any of that stuff. Like, you're getting out of this one okay, but they got to either A, move Nico Collins around more to get him more layup targets. It feels like there's still a lot of long developing routes behind an offensive line that can't protect, and a quarterback who at this point, like, consistently seems to suffer through bouts of inaccuracy. He just doesn't have a lot of time to operate back there. And I do think Stroud has to take ownership more at the line of scrimmage and get that stuff corrected. He's part of this. It's a learning process. It's going to probably take a little bit. And like, I do want to see him against some fronts that are a little less intimidating than the damn Rams and Todd Bowles and the Bucs. But Jacksonville's on the schedule. They put the Bengals in hell last week. It's a big reason Joe Burrow didn't make it out of that game. The Titans have guys up front who can protect, who can pressure you. The Ravens defense in week 5. It might be till like their week 6 bye that we feel pretty good about this Texans offense. But then again, they come out of that and it's like Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Jacksonville again, Tennessee again. I don't know. I'm definitely a little nervous about this Texans offense, and certainly I expected more from Nick Caley from a variation in the personnel group, more movement around for Nico Collins, stuff like that, and we're just not getting anything from the rookies. In this game, once again, Christian Kirk is obviously out, but Jalen Noel still just 10 routes, 12 routes for Jaden Higgins. I thought that like Xavier Hutchinson might play more than we expected, but I did not see Justin Watson almost a half route participation type guy, 46.7% and 70% in the slot. I did not have big slot receiver Justin Watson on our radar here for this season. So that's just the veteran deference stuff is I think hurting this team too. Like they need somebody like Jalen Noel who can get out there and get some separation and make plays in space like he did on that long return in this one. So that's the state of the state with the Texans. Nico Collins is still a good fantasy play, obviously, but hopefully he'll have some bigger days than this, but they got to get these pass protection issues fixed right away. Let's get to the next game here because we had the second one started at 10 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Chargers 20, Las Vegas Raiders 9. The pass-first Chargers offense continues. That's the big story out of this one. 27 pass attempts for Justin Herbert. He also toted the rock 9 times, 31 yards on the ground. 8 carries for Najee Harris, 8 carries for Amari Hampton. Neither one of them clear 30 yards. This is who the team is. Like their best plays right now are their passing plays. And, you know, I think all 4 of these receivers are viable. Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson score the touchdowns again. If people are panicking on Ladd McConkey, I'd be totally willing to buy. The guy is still great when he gets the football, and there were times where he was open and he didn't get the football. Those will get corrected. You could tell he's looking for a big play. He was frustrated when he got brought down in the open field by the Raiders late in this game. He looked like he wanted to bust a big play there. But again, it hasn't been a big explosive start to the season for Ladd McConkey, but he's still very good. The quarterback is ascending. He might not have like top 10 wide receiver ceiling with this spread out target tree with Quentin Johnson. I think, you know, taking yet another kind of leap in his game, Keenan Allen still being like there, that does change the equation for Ladd McConkey. Top 10 receiver might not be in his range of outcomes, but man, he's a good football player who does all the little things that you want, and he's attached to a quarterback right now that's just playing absolutely lights out. To that point, I can't believe that the Chargers, like in fourth down situations, like took the ball out of Herbert's hands. That Darius Davis rush attempt, what the hell was that about? The fourth down where they just try to bang it at the goal line 3 straight times with Amari Hampton, doesn't go anywhere, and then they kick it. Like, man, I like a lot of what Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman have done with this offense. Like, but let's put the nail in the coffin, boys. There, let's give it to Justin Herbert. You love this guy. I love this guy. Everybody should love this guy. Top 5 fantasy quarterback right now, every single week. And the Chargers look like they might win this damn division, man, because their defense on the other side of it was giving it to the Raiders. We'll get to that in a second. Just one last thing here. I am officially worried about Amari Hampton. I don't know how you can't be. Look, he's been okay. He does look a little stiff. He looks like he needs that crease to really get going, and there just hasn't been a lot of those yet here so far. Again, it's another kind of plotting effort for him where he plays most of the snaps, but Najee Harris did get involved, made a couple of nice plays in the passing game. We haven't seen any of that from Amari Hampton yet, so I do think there's this chance where if we're clinging onto the snap rate for Amari Hampton, that might start to dissipate over the next few weeks. So look, with all of these rookies, and we're going to talk about another rookie running back later in the show, we'll later in the show when Justin Boone gets in here. Like the second half of the season is where we really need to start kind of making firm judgments on these rookies. Maybe Hampton just gets more comfortable. He gets more assimilated to the NFL game, and he's awesome in November, December. But right now, if I had Amari Hampton on fantasy teams, I'd be a little concerned based on what we've gotten here in the first few weeks. On the other side of it, this was a really uninspiring game by the Las Vegas Raiders, particularly. Actually, I don't even know where. I don't have anything good to say about the Raiders offense, just point blank, but let's at least start with Geno Smith. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The broadcast showed this, and we are actually showing it right now. Geno Smith did not complete any of his pass attempts over 10 air yards in this game. He threw all 3 of his interceptions on those passes. He became the only quarterback since 2016 to attempt at least 10 downfield passes in a game without a completion. And if you went to bed, shout out to you. If you went to bed and you didn't watch this game and you're thinking like, yo, Harmon, like it couldn't have been that bad. Like it wasn't all Geno's fault. No, I mean, a lot of this was on Geno. Okay. This was just a straight up bad Geno game, period. Chargers defense is very good. They close windows fast. They communicate well on the back end. They don't have like superstar players, but they are so well coached. I said this last year, but like don't get used to Jesse Minter as the defense coordinator in Los Angeles. I think somebody's plucking him in for a head coaching job before too long, because you could just tell this is such a well coached unit back there. This was without Khalil Mack as well, who's clearly their best edge rusher and also a tone setter in the run game. So awesome performance by the Chargers defense. They deserve a lot of credit here, but man, Geno Smith I know the Geno folks out there love Geno because he's so aggressive and he pushes the ball and he throws into tight windows. This is what it looks like when you're truly trying to force stuff that is not there against a good defense. And like I said this during the game too, that stuff looks a lot cooler when prime Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba are on the other end of it. Like you got Jacoby Myers, who had a really nice performance here, 6 for 68 on 12 targets, but he was missed in tight windows. That's not necessarily his game either. The outside receivers, you're just not going to get anything there consistency wise. Like I said all offseason, this Dante Thornton thing, it's cool that he's like the starting X receiver as a 4th round pick, but he's the starting X receiver as a 4th round pick. It's a 4th round pick out of Tennessee, and I think he's got promise as like a field stretcher down the line, but he's coming out of he's the Looney Tunes Tennessee offense. There's a lot of development that needs to go on there. Brock Bowers clearly not 100% in this game. You couldn't funnel targets to him, and you see when he's removed from the equation, he's truly, shout out to my buddy Dave Damashek from the NFL Network days, he's a Jenga piece. Like you remove him from this offense or even put him out there in compromised form, things really start to crumble here because they just don't have a lot of juice at the outside receiver position. It's Myers, it's Bowers, and they've got kind of like fast guys with tools, but not a lot of consistency on the outside. You're going to get days like this for Geno where you put up the ball 43 times in the air and you get nothing out of it. So I was encouraged by Geno coming out of week 1. I'm super discouraged coming out of Geno Smith for week 2. Where's the truth? It's probably somewhere in the middle. Probably, but I need a few more games of evidence to really know for sure. Speaking of shout out to my buddies, shout out to Frank Schwab. I saw him say this during the game. Chip Kelly may be on my radar. Frank was the point that made this. He was the one who made this point. Maybe Chip Kelly should be a little bit on our radar as like kind of an Arthur Smith type where they've got good players and they're kind of featuring the randoms. Again, it's a lot of these shot plays down the field to the outside receivers. Brock Bowers, I know he's not healthy fully in this game, so maybe this is a mulligan, but even in week 1, he's kind of coming off and on the field. And in the backfield, I mean, the run game stinks out loud. This is not a good run game. Ashton Jeanty has to do like superhero broken tackle stuff just to gain 43 yards on the ground. He's another rookie running back, by the way. You've got to be nervous about Ashton Jeanty. And, I did say in the offseason there were going to be issues. If you're taking a back that is behind a so-so offensive line for a team that might not win a lot of games, you're going to get days like 11 for 43. And what really has to concern you, back to this Chip Kelly point, I know that Ashton Jeanty has issues in pass protection. That has been noticeable through the first 2 weeks. But Zamir White, 2 for 15 on 3 targets in this game. Dylan Lobby, 2 catches for 17 on 2 targets. Like these guys as the passing down back, like kind of rotating in there with Ashton Jeanty, who did catch 3 passes for 1 yard. That really has to make you nervous as an Ashton Jeanty fantasy manager. So not a lot of good things to say about the Raiders in this game, honestly. I'm hoping it's like kind of an overcorrection from what was a pretty fun offense to watch in a passing game perspective in week 1. But even in week 1, Geno Smith throws like an ill-advised interception. So he can't have those plays. Like he has to be really on it. He can't give the ball to the other team because they don't have the run game to sustain those type of drives. They don't have the juice in the pass catching department to come back from these deficits, and they certainly don't have the defense to defend good offenses like they saw in the Chargers tonight. So really discouraging performance from the Raiders in real life and in fantasy. You come out of here feeling pretty worried about Jeanty. On the other side with the Chargers, yeah, it's good stuff in the passing game, but concerns about Amari and Hampton. So that's kind of the theme right now. We're looking at that rookie running back class with a little bit of a raised eyebrow going into week 3.